Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? Happy early Saturday morning. It's 10 o'clock here. I've been up for a while. I've actually already been to the office and back. I am more of a morning work person when it comes to the weekend. Get it out of the way so that I can do some reading and relaxation and family time for the rest of the weekend. I hope you guys are having a great time and you are ready to talk some books because today I am coming with part one of my October book haul. Can you believe it's October? I cannot believe that October, and it's like mid-October. It's crazy. It is crazy. But I am super excited to bring to you the first part of my October book haul. All the books we're going to talk about today were sent to me either by the authors or the publisher, and I think you guys are going to want to add a lot of them to your TBR. Half of them are out already, and then about half of them are coming out, so I'm going to split them into that sort of section as books that you can get. And then books that you need to be putting on your TBR list or pre-ordering from your local bookstores or having your library pre-order if that is how you get your books. So let's get started because I have quite a stack that I need to get through today. The first book I want to talk to you about I was sent by the lovely author Kirstin Chen, and that is Bury What We Cannot Take. This was sent to me by her after I met her at a book event, and she was just absolutely lovely. And I actually had a copy of her book and then someone borrowed it from me and I never got it back. So luckily for me, she had her publisher send me an extra copy. So thank you so much. And I am super excited about this. This book takes place in China. And on one day, there are a brother and a sister, a 9-year-old and a 12-year-old. They walk into their grandmother's house. And their grandmother is destroying a picture of Mao with a hammer. And the young boy, thinking he's doing his duty, reports his grandmother to the authorities. And as you can imagine, things do not go well. And the family tries to flee China, wanting to go to Hong Kong. And as they're trying to get their passports, the government makes it a requirement that the family leave one of the children behind as proof that they plan to return. I think everything about that sounds absolutely fantastic. And this cover is just plain brilliant. So that's Bury What We Cannot Take by Kirstin Chen. It is out and available, and you guys can get your hands on it right now. The next book was sent to me by the publisher, and it came out in September. The mail sort of ate it up, so I apologize for my sort of bent up copy of this advanced reading copy. When it got to me, it was beat up. But that is The Sisters of the Winter's Wood by Rena Rossner. And this is actually a really good read for October, so it fits in perfect that I'm talking about it today if you're still looking for something for an October read. This is the story of two sisters, Liba and Laya, and they live on the border of Moldova and Ukraine. I knew I wasn't going to remember that. And they live a very secluded life together with their family. And then one day, a group of mysterious men arrive. And as you can imagine, that never ends up well. And as the two sisters start to sort of delve into the world and their past, they find that they have a magical history. And what does that mean? It says as dark forces close in on their small village, the sisters discover a family secret passed through generations. I've heard a number of reviews on this. It's getting pretty solid reviews. I'm super excited to get to it. And I hate what the mail did to this cover. But the cover is gorgeous. So that's The Sisters of the Winter's Wood by Rena Rossner. And this is out now, so you guys can get it too. The next book was sent to me by Quirk Books. Now, I love Quirk Books. They do a lot of great stuff. But this book is a bit outside my comfort zone. However, my friend Richard of Richard Reads, who is sort of on a hiatus, but definitely worth checking out once he starts his channel again, really loved the first book by this author. Let me see if I can remember the name. The first book by him was something about My Best Friend's Exorcism. But this is his new novel by Grady Hendrix, and it's called We Sold Our Souls. And this is also out by Quirk Books, as I said. Now, I don't know much about it, so I'm going to have them summarize it for you. It says, only a girl with a guitar can save us all. Every morning, Chris Polsky wakes up in hell. In the 90s, she was the lead guitarist of Dirkwerk, a heavy metal band on the brink of breakout success until the lead singer Terry Hunt embarked on a solo career and rocketed to stardom, leaving his bandmates to rot in obscurity. Now Chris works as a night manager of a Best Western. She's tired, broke, and unhappy. Then one day everything changes. A shocking act of violence turns her life upside down, and she begins to suspect that Terry sabotaged more than just the band. Chris hits the road hoping to reunite Dirkwerk and confront the man who ruined her life. Her journey will take her from Pennsylvania Rust Belt to a celebrity rehab center to a satanic music festival. A furious power ballad about never giving up, We Sold Our Souls is an epic journey into the heart of a conspiracy-crazed, pill-popping, paranoid country that seems to have lost its very soul. Now, let's just take a look at this cover and these end papers and these edges, and then the end papers are bright red, sorry. Take a look at that. So there's a lot to really like about this. If this sounds up your sweetheart, I've never had a bad read from Quirk Books. So this is Grady Hendrix's new book, We Sold Our Souls, and I highly recommend, on the recommendation of my friend Richard Reed. He really loved My Best Friend's Exorcism. So there you go. The last book is an ARC that was sent to me by the publisher, and I missed it in my Septembers, and that's The Caregiver by Samuel Park. Now, this book has got sort of a sad story, as it was being written by the author, Samuel. Right after he finished it, he passed away from stomach cancer. So that's got a sad angle to it. But this is a mother-daughter story. This is the story of Anna and her daughter, Mara. They live in, I want to say, Rio de Janeiro, and it's the 1980s, and they are each other's worlds, according to the back. And what happens is that Anna, the mother, gets involved in sort of a group that is trying to undermine the city's police chief. And stuff happens, and Mara winds up escaping to California, where she becomes a caretaker for a woman who is dying of stomach cancer. And in doing so, she starts to reflect not only on herself, her life with her mother, but also what it means to take care of someone. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people that I really respect really rave about this book, and that cover is just gorgeous. So that's The Caregiver by Samuel Park, and this is out already too. I have the ARC, but it is out and available, so you can get a hold of it. Okay, now we're going to get on to the books that come out over the rest of the year and into the new year. And yeah, so the first one is Omar Pasha Law, Marshal to the Sultan by Ivo Andric. Ivo Andric won the Nobel Prize in Literature, I want to say in 1961, but that could be totally wrong. So I'm not exactly sure which year he won the Nobel Prize in Literature. But this is a new reissue of one of his novels, translated in English from the Serbo-Croatian by Celia Hawksworth. And this is out by New York Review of Books, which you know I'm a huge fan of, and that cover is great. This is the story of Omar. He is a commander-in-chief of the Sultan Army. He has come to Sarajevo to get the landowners to let me just read the back. I was trying to figure out how to summarize this, and I'm not going to do a good job. So it's set in the 19th century in Sarajevo, where Muslims and Christians live in an uneasy proximity while entertaining a common resentment to the faraway Ottoman Empire. Omar, the commander-in-chief of the Sultan's army, and as the book begins, he arrives in Istanbul, dispatched to bring Sarajevo's landowners to heel, a task that he accomplishes with his usual ferocity and efficiency, and yet his expedition to Bosnia is a time of reckoning for him as well. He was born in the Balkans as Serb and subject to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, a bright boy who escaped his father's financial disgrace by running away and converting to Islam. Now, at the height of his power, he heads an army of misfits, adventurers, and outcasts from across Europe and Asia, and yet wherever he goes, he remains a stranger. So this comes out in October. Again, this is Omar Pasha Law by Marshal to the Sultan by Ivo Andric. It is translated from the Serbo-Croatian and out by New York Review of Books. That was a lot to say. That book actually had a lot going on. The next book I'm going to tell you about is Still in Love by Michael Downing. This comes out from Counterpoint Press in January of 2019, but I'm going to jump on this a little bit because this is actually the sequel to a book that I didn't read, so I picked up myself. And this is Perfect Agreement by Michael Downing, which came out from Counterpoint Press a while ago. So this is sort of the prequel to the book that I'm going to tell you about that's coming out in January. This is the story of Mark Sternum, who is a professor. He teaches at a university. And he sort of has, I love the way it says it, it's full of droll observations about the rules that govern our language. But then one day, an African-American single mother who has failed the college's basic skills test for the last time accuses Mark of prejudice, and Mark is fired. Blown off course, he monitors the ensuing skirmish from a distance as his case makes national headlines, and he turns his attention instead to the graceful rhythms of a small Shaker community. As the scrambled pieces of his life and simple ways of the Shakers begin to merge, Mark finds new beauty in his own maddening, blissful dependency on the people in his life. So I actually think that sounds really good. You know, I like a book about a university. And then this is the follow-up, Still in Love. This comes out again in January of 2019. And again, we're following Michael. I'm sorry, Michael wrote it. We're following Mark. He's 20 years older at this point, and he works at a different university. He's separated from his longtime lover, and it deals with the ambitions of his everyday life on campus. But he loves this class that he teaches that is in high demand, but he's actually fighting with a professor that he's co-taught this creative workshop with for the last 10 years. So this becomes more of sort of a campus novel. I was talking to my friend Julie about campus novels, so I'm super excited to see how this one works out. So this is two books, one by that's already out and one that's coming out in January by Michael Downing, Perfect Agreement and Still in Love. And these are both by Counterpoint Press, this one coming out in January. Okay, last four books. The next book is a collection of essays that's coming out from Grey Wolf Press in February of next year. And look at this cover, you guys. This is the Collected Schizophrenias, essays by Esme, Weijun, Wang. Now, I'm a huge fan of Esme's fiction, and this is a collection of her journey towards diagnosis. She is diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, and she provides an insight into the condition in these essays, is how the back does it. You know, she was a former researcher at Stanford, so she has a clinical eye. And I've heard nothing but rave reviews. I've heard Esme speak. As I've told you, I've read her fiction. And I'm just going to, again, this cover is just amazing. So thank you so much to Grey Wolf Press for getting me this early advanced reader's copy. Again, this comes out in February of 2019. If this is something that really resonates with you, Esme is a phenomenal writer, so I highly recommend getting this on your TBR or getting it pre-ordered. So that's the Collected Schizophrenias, essays by Esme, Weijun, Wang, out in February from Grey Wolf Press. The next two books is going to be like the ones that I talked about from Counterpoint, is one is already out and one is coming out. And that is because I had reached out to Tor Books because I was looking to review a copy of The Black God's Drum by Djeli Clark. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, which is already out and you can get a copy. And Tor kindly sent me a copy of the new novella coming out in February called The Haunting of Tramcar 15. Now, this book, which is already out, is the story of Creeper. Creeper is a young female who is parentless. She's a scrappy teen is the back. She lives in sort of a reinvented imaginary New Orleans, which I've read the first few pages. These came yesterday, already diving in. And she overhears something about a Haitian scientist that is arriving with a mysterious weapon called the Black God's Drum. And she wants to get onto a pirate ship that is run, or a smuggler's airship, run by Captain Anne-Marie called the Midnight Robber. So she uses that secret to get on that ship. But she has her own secret. She has the voice of a deity named Oya, the African Orsha of the winds and storms. So in the first few pages, we find out that she was born on that day, and the spirit of this god has been speaking to her in her mind. And that the god herself has her own agenda as well. So all of that. I have never read a Tor novella that I haven't really enjoyed, so I'm super excited for The Black God's Drum. which is already out. You can get your hands on it. Now, in February, this one sounds fantastic. I didn't know anything about it, so I'm going to read the back, but this is The Haunting of Tramcar 15, and it says, Cairo, 1912. The case started simply enough for the Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments, and Supernatural Entities handle a possessed tramcar. Soon, however, Agent Hamid Nassar and his partner, Agent Onsif Yosef, are exposed to a new side of Cairo, stirring with suffragettes, secret societies, and sentient automatons. It's a race against time to protect the city from an encroaching danger that crosses the line between the magical and the mundane. Does that not sound so good? So this is The Haunting of Tramcar 15. This comes out in February of 2019. Again, out by P. Djeli Clark, and this is out by Tor Books. So, 2 of those. Last but not least, as I try to sneak out, because this book, this is going to wind up on everyone's radar. I'm telling you right now. And that's If Then by Kate Hope Day. This comes out in March of 2019. I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot about this book. This is the story of a small town in Oregon. Let me see if I can remember the name. Clearing, Oregon. And 4 neighbors who find their world totally upended when all of a sudden they can start seeing into an alternate reality that is different than the world that they live in. And as these things sort of happen, things change. I'm going to just read you sort of kind of the blurb here. It says, at first, the visions are relatively benign, but they grow increasingly troubling, and in some cases, frightening. When a natural disaster threatens them all, it becomes clear that the visions were not what they first seemed, and the town of Clearing, which will never be the same. I think that sounds amazing. And I haven't even told you about the 4 characters because I'm leaving that for you guys to discover on your own. But I think that sounds great. I think this book has already been optioned, if I'm not sure, for a TV deal. So we may be seeing this on TV sooner rather than later. But this comes out in March of 2019. I want to thank very much to Random House for sending me a copy, to Kate Hope Daly for getting me a copy. I love this cover. If Then, Kate Hope Daly, March 2019. Get it on your list. So those are all the books that I have on my shelf right now that I haven't already told you about, sent to me by publishers that I am telling you all about. Get them on your TBR. So get out your pen, your paper, your Goodreads, however you wanted to take all these lists down. As always, if you are a return subscriber, thank you so very much. If you are new to my channel, I hope you like what you saw, and I hope many of these books wound up on your TBR. And as always, until next time, happy reading, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!